Welcome to the Outdoor Biz Podcast, your home for inspiring conversations with outdoor insiders. Each week, author, speaker, adventurer, and outdoor industry veteran Rick Sayes talks in depth with iconic brand founders, sales and marketing pros, product designers, and industry rising stars. Listen in when Rick's guests offer actionable advice to land your ideal industry gig and grow your outdoor career. Catch us again when the conversation shifts to the hottest outdoor products, destinations, and the latest industry insights. And now, here's Rick.
Welcome to episode 264 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast with John Faber from Envoy B2B and Mike Massey from Locally, brought to you by Envoy. In this episode, John Faber and Mike Massey tell us how Envoy and Locally help brands and retailers get smart with local consumer product trends and locally popular products. Get more on trend with consumer insights, keep stores replenished more easily, and quickly discover inventory holes. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, Rick. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Rick.
What's up, Mike?
Hey, how are you doing? Good morning.
Been a long time.
Yes.
Yeah. So I thought we'd start with a snapshot view of your background, just to let everybody know where you guys, know, how you guys got started and stuff. John, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Oh boy, let's see. I'm going to go a little further back than maybe normally people do. So I started off as a paper boy. I have that fun part of my history. And from there to music. So there's a lot of variety in my past that I think has been pretty helpful in what I'm doing now, to advertising for a stint there for a few years, to software development, which brings me to Envoy, which is what I've been really doing for, it's been about a decade now. I think in all of those roles, it's been like I'm this team guy. And when I think back and look at why that, like, how did that happen? The paper boy, I was rolling papers with my family, getting them all involved, getting my mom eventually to drive me around. I was that team person. Yeah. Music, same thing. I was the recorder, the tour planner, the marketer on MySpace back in that day. Advertising, same kind of thing. Like, I got hired at a TV station. So this was like back when, there were, there still are, but accounts selling TV ads, and they wanted to augment their TV experience with, selling digital media. So I helped them do that, but I had to bridge the gap, bring kind of the old school and the new school together there. So a team thing going on too. Yeah, that's cool. Software development, obvious, and CEO. Yeah, right now I really just consider myself my team's champion. I help us get done what we want to get done, what we plan is our vision.
That's great. You keep all the planes in the air. That's important.
I try. Yep. I don't know. It's interesting how often my paper route thing how much it really matters. That first good job. Yeah. Very pivotal.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. I was interacting with someone on Facebook the other day. My first job was at JCPenney's assembling bicycles and then cleaning bathrooms. So it's, we all get started and somehow we stay connected to either that retail or that team thing. Like you said, It's pretty interesting. Yeah. Mike, how about you? What's your background?
Probably something very similar. I got started by working for my family. My dad was a professional baseball player, came back to New Orleans after his career ended, started a small local sporting goods store, and rather than daycare, he put his kids to work. And so I spent a lot of time shoes in size order, things like that when I was a little kid. Then I went away to college, got a job, and then realized I felt passionately about specialty retail, and my family had pivoted from generalized sporting goods to outdoor sporting goods, forced to do that by the large chains moving into our city. And we decided to start focusing on things like Patagonia, North Face, which were emerging companies in the mid 80s. And then I left my real job and came back to work for my family. And I was a third generation involved in the business. My generation was all about email and websites and all this kind of stuff. And I helped the company get involved very early in eCommerce. And then subsequently was the very first outdoor store to sell products on Amazon.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. I think. Yeah.
So during that process of learning a lot about e-commerce and starting up like drop shipping and all these kind of things, I was involved in various organizations with the outdoor industry with people like Backcountry and all, focused on some of the standards that would be used to exchange POs and catalog information and stuff. My experience with Amazon taught me one thing. It was basically where we were going to go in the next decade, which was mostly online informed shopping. People were going to do almost all their shopping online. And without any local presence, it was increasingly cutting off local stores from any type of visibility. And so to make it just a lot shorter, Locally was founded, focused on that one consumer behavior. It became obvious by the late 2000s that like shopper behavior was moving mostly to online discovery, and that things like OpenTable and Ticketmaster.com and Airbnb, that was like the inevitable future of retail, was that people would do most of their shopping online. And if we're lucky, local stores would be able to like get some referrals from maybe their vendors or something. Locally was built as the middle ground, surfacing inventory for nearby shoppers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's out of the gate now. We do all sorts of stuff since we founded the company in 2014. We launched in 2014.
Yeah, I was reading about that this morning. Yeah, you guys have done a lot of great stuff. And I'll bet when you first started selling Amazon way back in the day, that was probably a little controversial, eh?
I wasn't just like one of the first sellers. I was like the biggest advocate. I ran around throughout the outdoor industry trying to convince people like Dana Designs and Eagle Creek to allow their products to be sold in this ultra premium new concept called Amazon, and like hand in hand going into these meetings and just saying that this was the great thing in the future. And somewhere along the line, it just became really counter to the vision of that anybody had for like it being a great thing.
Yeah, I remember being on the other side of some of those conversations. It was pretty like, whoa, we don't know that we want that to happen yet. It was still new, and yeah, it's interesting. So how did you guys connect? What brought you two together?
Yeah, I think, thinking back, I think it was through research that we were doing for product development, to make our platform a little more retailer centric. And so something that we do at Envoy as a part of our product development process, there's always this research component, really big research component. We're not really inventing things and putting them out there and saying, hey, do you like it? We do all the research up front, figure out what people want. Sounds simple, but it's hard to do a really good job of research. And part of what led us to Locally was we asked retailers just, what do you want? What are you having issues with? And one of the things that came back really strong all the time was we're having trouble replenish easily. Essentially, there's open spots in my store shelf too often. And what can we do about that? And one of the things we started looking at was how can we get their on-hand information inside of our brand's B2B portals so that the rep can be that kind of proactive champion to say, hey, I can see you're about to be out of this. And here's an opportunity to get the product now before you do run out. In that kind of search, we found Locally, and they're doing it already, essentially, and they're really good at it. So it made a ton of sense to partner up with all the progress and just like Mike has been saying, just the amazing job they've been doing in innovating in this area already. So yeah, our solutions came together really well. I'm sure we'll talk about that, but also our teams, just great people at Locally. Love working with them.
That's cool. Mike, what are your thoughts on how you guys connected? Similar?
Same kind of thing. One of the things on our side is that it's awesome to spend so much of our time trying to connect people to a local place to buy merchandise. But just like John said, if the local store isn't aware of what they should have or has holes in their stock, that's just
big miss.
Yeah. So we work with John at the very beginning to conceptualize what if we could do a better job. Somebody like Amazon or a big online merchant, they're using systems that can automate, find missing products, fill them in. They're just doing a much more sophisticated job. And our vision was like, hey, we don't want to build a B2B order management system. Like, how do we give what we have here to help our retailers be better?
So, John, tell our listeners a little bit about Envoy. Give us the...
Sure. Yeah, we're a wholesale B2B commerce platform. We play primarily in the footwear, apparel, kind of accessory space. Most of our clients are pretty established brands. We do have a focus in the outdoor space. That's been an interest of ours since the beginning. Yeah, so brands use our platform really to provide just great service to their retailers and support their reps with the tools they need to do. So largely we get used for sell-in, tools for reps to show the line, build assortments with their accounts, or let their accounts do that on their own, all the way through pre-book ordering and replenishment, like we were just speaking about. And then you got to think content too. That's a big part of the picture now, is this destination for showing the coming line, but also sustaining that current line. So it's not only content, it's commerce as well. Big part of it. I would say though, more and more though, what we're doing is just helping brands get the right products in the right stores now. That's kind of the big motivation right now.
That's a big deal right now.
Yeah. And try to do that without a solution. It's inefficient. It's almost impossible to do it at the pace you need to do it at to keep up with the trends that, and capitalize on what's happening. That's really our focus more and more. If I just put it down to it, it's to help brands get the right products in the right stores.
That's a good problem to solve.
But when it comes down to it, yeah, it's ordering tools, it's assortment tools, it's line planning tools, it's content tools. But more and more, what we're excited about is this data-centric approach, this intelligence tools. That's the future for Envoy.
That makes a lot of sense. Mike, give us a background on Locally.
I feel like I covered a little bit of it, but Locally's whole mission is to basically transform online marketing tactics that are used by like large e-commerce merchants for acquisition of customers, engagements, transactions. We've duplicated virtually all of that on behalf of any size local retailer. So our specialty is driving consumers to in-store pickup and curbside and same-day delivery and shipments to store. And we use all the normal tactics. We do a good job of winning at SEO tactics. We integrations with brand sites, retailer sites, Shopify. Our mission is to drive engagement for shoppers with their local store, and then to create a path for the shopper to go all the way through to buying the item in the store.
That makes everything so efficient. That's really smart. What other spaces are you guys in, John? In addition to outdoor, what are some of your other major retail spaces that you guys have support?
I think if you go a little bit wider than outdoor for us, really, I guess not another industry, but more of a category that we're specific in would be footwear in general. That's a big segment for us. I guess, though, all footwear brands are more or less becoming head to toe, though. So I guess it's just apparel in general as well. And there are some outliers, too, in terms of, we do some business with in the toy area and like kids' games and like that kind of thing. And then also golf is a growing category for us as
that
well.
Makes sense, too. Yeah. Mike, how about you guys? You're a little wider than outdoor.
We're epicenter in outdoor and sporting goods. We have fly fishing brands and scuba brands and a lot of snow brands. We're like John, we're very prevalent in running shoes and also comfort shoes. We've got some foothold in electronics and baby and hardware. So it's fairly wide. The consumer behavior is similar across almost every retail space.
Mm-hmm. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So it's the synergies between Envoy and Locally that feels like where the real value is. Give us the basic value props of your integration and what the features do.
Lead on this please. One. I'll take a first stab at it. So I think, earlier I mentioned what led us to Locally. It is that kind of feature that was the first thing to, I think, get us an understanding of what we do together. We bring, for retailers that approve, we bring their on-hand inventory into Envoy B2B. So into the brand's B2B portal. And this is the B2B portal where reps are using this to sustain their account. So it's a very helpful bit of information to have. These accounts are low on stock. That's like the perfect thing for a rep. And to do that really simple hasn't happened until now.
Yeah.
But one of those simple things that really is the bedrock for some other really cool things that Locally brought to the table, which is secondarily, when I mentioned we help brands get the right product in the right store, really it's this functionality that does that. With Locally, we really have what we're calling consumer product demand intelligence. Really, what we mean is we can show brands which of their products are hot in different DMAs or market areas, and then cross-reference that with their product that the retailers are actually carrying. Simply put, we can empower a brand to say, hey, retailer, you're not carrying these top 5 products that are in demand around your store. You should carry those. And in doing so, all these cool things happen. Now they're a lot more visible, that retailer, as a pickup point for same-day delivery or shop online, pickup in store, any of those kind of experiences when a consumer is on that brand's D2C site, for example. Now, instead of having to have it just shipped to your door, there's an opportunity because they're on trend with what's hot in their area to get that product that same day or just go and pick it up. It's this kind of leveraging market data or consumers' interests and saying, okay, retailers in that same area, here's an indication of what consumers around you like and want. You should consider carrying these products. It's a really powerful data point to give to reps and a really powerful set of data to put in front of retailers when they log in the platform too, honestly. Them just being able to see in Envoy B2B, okay, what products of this brand are hot in my area? That's gold.
That's almost got to be like a no-brainer for them because their sales then all of a sudden increase and they have, like you say, the right stuff at the right time. That's awesome.
Yep.
Love it.
Yep.
Yeah. Mike, you got any perspective on that? I'm sure. What was the retailer's perspective on that? Because sometimes some of the retail buyers are pretty savvy in what they do and what's right for their consumer, and they're like little shops here in Bishop, but they know their clientele pretty well. Was there any pushback, or did they line right up to it?
I think that it's going to be, there's so many different types of retailers, that as we have built this system, there's going to be, obviously there's early adopters that are going to come in and go, I'm going to use any additional market intelligence I could possibly get. The standard at this point is just national market intelligence that's 60 to 90 days. And we don't really think that's tremendously relevant for somebody who's trying to stock their shelves today. Right. And then the forward-looking vision of the way this would work is that retailers get to the point where some type of automation is occurring that keeps their shelves filled with stock. Perhaps it's a roof rack and it keeps all the right parts in stock. Right. The system is somehow aware of like emergent trends. It's looking at like the vendors available to sell inventory in the warehouse, mashing that together with DMA specific and business intelligence. And the goal is a collaboration between the brand and the retailer rather than everybody doing it for themselves, which we've done things, everybody does it for themselves, and the cavalierness of every industry, not just the outdoor industry. The problem is that you're not really competing in that world anymore. Consumers are online 24/7 doing product research. And if you need information in order to like be able to be competitive.
And you give them information from around the country, the world, basically, and it allows them to be more efficient. It's just, I keep saying that, but that's really the thing that strikes me is just the efficiency and improving their turns, improving their margins. That's really huge. And for places like...
And staying on trend.
Yeah, staying on trend. And like I say, little towns in Bishop or wherever they might be, they can have inventory immediately, not immediately, but however long it takes to ship them, but they can have the right stuff as opposed to if you guys weren't there as a source, they might not get the right stuff until next spring, the next time they get their order, and it's too late.
And the thing here is that while there's always going to be early resistance for the truly independent retailer, sure, the reality is that the larger format brick and mortar retailers are already using these types of technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're not sitting here scratching their head about filling in their shelves. If you go to an REI, they do a really good job of keeping the pegs filled. They do a really good job of keeping all the sizes and stuff. And smaller retailers now have access to like very powerful tools to optimize their inventory based on what consumers near them are doing online.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
We're going to take a little break and give some love to our sponsor, Envoy. Envoy B2B is a wholesale content and e-commerce platform for your entire team. Their tools and services are designed to help you create dynamic content, increase your speed of sale, and bring you closer to your retailers. Envoy B2B provides the technology you need to empower your sales reps and support your retail channel. That way, you'll maximize local consumer product trends and locally popular products, get more on trend with consumer insights, keep shelves replenished more easily, and quickly discover inventory holes. Visit Envoy B2B today and get those sales moving north. That's EnvoyB2B.com. Now, back to the show. Yeah, and how do they match their increasingly sophisticated competition? Your software must be updated. These days, it changes every minute, it seems like.
Let me just say to that end, one of the things about our platform and the data sharing that occurs between like ourselves and Envoy and ourselves and locally and other people or Envoy and other people is that we've always envisioned open sharing of data as the solution for the consumer, rather than proprietary walled gardens as being the solution for the consumer. We share a lot of information. We don't share any proprietary information from one brand to another, and we do keep the retailer's information siloed to their DMA, but we share it without any bias. I think it's more trustworthy and more valuable.
And how do you do that? How do you make sure that data stays siloed? You must have firewalls all over the place between everybody's individual.
We do.
We do.
We have very strong privacy policies.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Envoy in that regard, it essentially stops with us. So we don't have any other relationships or ownership or other interested, parties in this data. We're fulfilling our service for our clients. And that's it. And part of that service is keeping things sound, of course, from a data perspective, technically, and all of that. But part of it is now, like we've been saying, taking an insightful approach on that data. So we need that data in order to do that for you. But I think what our clients need to know is that it's safe with us. So technically and contractually, everything's siloed and safe. And that's something that locally does really well. And so do we. And that's been a core principle of all of this from the beginning.
Yeah, that's paramount. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so you guys must have relationships with not only the buyers, but you're working with the buyers, the reps, the IT guys. It's a pretty broad, expanded reach into each small business?
So Locally has relationships with everything from small mom and pop, single door running shops, all the way up to some of the largest chains in sporting goods. And we do have IT relationships. We have some relationships with buyers. The majority of our clients are the brands themselves, and we are in the back seat for what the brand's goal is with a particular client.
Gotcha. John, then you guys are the ones that work more with the retailer?
Actually, brands are our clients as well. They bring in their retailers as relationships, and then essentially we help that brand forge a meaningful and strong supportive relationship with their retailers or specialty retailers. I wanted to say something quick about, you mentioned how do you keep up with competition. I think there's two things there that it's really simple that I would say, at least for brands and retailers applies. Community, that's just one. Just right now, like your community is everything. And secondarily, availability. And to that, what we're talking about with Locally, like you've got to share what you need from a retailer's perspective. And the tools are there. Mike has said, it's not the time to be scared of them. It's the time to embrace them. You're not losing your independence by embracing technology. It's what you need to compete right now. And specifically availability. That's what it comes down to. Make sure that as a retailer, you are easily showing what's available in your store. It's that simple. Consumers are looking for it. If they can't find you, they can't come in and get it. And same from the perspective of a brand, like availability, share with your retailers what's coming. So really, it's all about forging this kind of data-centric relationship moving forward. That's the future. It's that simple.
Yeah, and I think in this,
it can be that.
I was going to say, in this day and age, too, we've all learned that we are all smarter by participating in a community, and we all participate in a number of different communities, whether it's for the retailer, he's got the local shoppers in the town, but then there are also the business community with the brands. There's a business community with you guys, the software. So there's all these different communities, and you're smarter by participating with more of those folks.
Yep. And just see how a ton of these communities just went to the next level over the past several quarters of challenge. And like the community will engage with the new kinds of technologies that you bring to the table. They're ready for it and they want it. And in fact, they've understand now more than ever why it might be valuable to them. So it's time.
Yeah. So speaking of all the challenges we've been up against, why does same-day pickup and local delivery have staying power past COVID? Seems like it had some legs before COVID, but now COVID just made it all the more important.
I think that if you look at almost every other, industry vertical, from travel to dining to entertainment, you're going to see an analog to shopping online and physical either pickup or delivery or something like that. You've got food delivery, you've got restaurant reservations where you're physically taking table. Ticketmaster, Airbnb, all of these different kind of things. It's the challenge for retail has been the resistance to some type of shared standard of exchanging data. And that's really been where the resistance is. But if you look at like concert venues for local pickup or same day delivery, and mostly local pickup, then they're seeing for a shipped package.
Yeah.
The shipped package opportunity it's great, but we're at a phase now where one merchant dominates more than 50% of all shipped packages. It's very difficult for anybody to span that gap and earn a profit selling wholesale merchandise. It's virtually impossible.
Yeah.
Whereas you can provide additional services, fitting, advice, same day pickup, local delivery. That's the emergent space for local retail.
Yeah. There's this beautiful thing happening in kind of with a lot of specialty accounts that I'm talking to, at least, which is this community thing again, but also, just the leveraging of this shop online pickup in store or same day delivery or any of that is it's proliferated across a larger part of that consumer's day that now they expect it in almost every place they go. They're doing it with grocery pickup. They're doing it for home goods, like you mentioned, Home Depot and Lowe's. They're doing it for almost all things they buy right now. There's some kind of advanced lookup of will it be available or can I get it curbside? And so, yes, this is sticking around. This is going to stay. Consumers are using it. They want it. Brands and retailers seem to be working together more to make it a priority now and make it happen. And I think Mike and I are like, Mike, I don't know, you've been doing this specific thing for a lot longer than I have. But man, when we came out with this last January, it was like the most momentous, like great timing. It came out right at the time when a lot of things were changing and people were like ready to start engage with this because they had to and they needed to. And it was this kind of cool lifeline of, I'm sure you saw that a lot on your side, Mike. So yeah, this isn't going away. This is here, and it's a great piece of technology that and represents a ton of opportunity for both the brands and the retailers. Now's the time.
Yeah, and one of the things, John, that I think about and I talk about all the time is today, none of us think twice about how we're going to go see a movie, even though movies have been a little bit not as popular lately. But none of us think twice about like checking a movie time online, maybe buying our ticket, maybe in our seat, like figuring out what movie theater to go to. Could you imagine if somebody says, oh, now we're just going to go back to getting your movie times out of the newspaper?
Not happening.
This is a good experience.
You're so right.
Walmart is literally crushing it with curbside pickup. And the thing is that giving consumers more control over how they shop has never been a bad thing. And it never goes backwards.
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I was just going to agree. And yeah, not much more to add. I just agree. Giving consumers what they want. I think that's, and right now there's all these other influences, right? You have to do it this way. There's a safety element, a legit safety element to it. Now is the time to embrace it and make it happen.
Yeah. And learn it while you can. Yeah. I was going to say earlier, I bet the sales reps, who was most excited about this? Was it the rep? Was it the brand? Was it the retailer? Or they all just, as soon as they saw it, everybody just, okay, yeah, we got to have this.
No, so I think that sales reps were the very first group to realize, hey, this is literally creating foot traffic in stores that are trying to create foot traffic. And they realized that just giving consumers addresses of locations is really just not enough to get them to go down to the store. We especially now don't operate that way. But the reality is that we weren't operating that way for a long time. It was already really broken. The brands have been on the initial brand response, typically under COVID and really even leading up to it, was, hey, this is a tremendous opportunity for us to sell direct to consumers. Who'd have figured out that by and large, brands aren't very good at selling to consumers without a wholesale networks generate all of the enthusiasm and goodwill for a brand. And then they're able to take advantage of the extended inventory assortment and new types of logistics. If you haven't built your brand at all, it's very difficult to go to market with a consumer facing brand and build all of your enthusiasm and goodwill right out of the gate. Even big brands that we think of as ubiquitous these days, like Yeti, really spends a lot of effort on how do we get people to go to local stores, despite the fact that they ship coolers. So they like to ship coolers, but what they want to do in the end is make sure the customer buys their products somewhere. Consumer lifetime value, not just, hey, this one sale needs to be on my, quarterly income statement in this one vertical business unit. That makes a lot less sense these days. It's like repeat customer is the holy grail.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and brands really need to see this as the retailers out there are creating that amazing experience and helping the brand, like you said, Mike, efficiently and in an exciting way bring their product to market. It's this part that needs to close. We need to close that loop and say, okay, thank you, retailers, for helping us do that. And now I'm going to help you stay replenished, and I'm going to help you stay on trend with what's selling around you. And because you've done such a great job building that excitement up and being that local pickup area or that same day delivery area, like now we're going to close the loop with you and help you with even more sales, funnel some of that excitement back to you.
That's it. That's exactly it. One of the things I like to point at, one of the retailers that I like to point at that does an absolutely amazing job, and everybody will go, oh yeah, of course. But think about Apple. Apple can sell their products and ship them all day long. Okay. And what do? They open stores from coast to coast.
Yep.
Those stores are literally, you have to wait in line get on a queue for a week to go in those stores and get help. Like my local Apple store pre-COVID, there would be hundreds of people in that store engaged in products. And it's never been for Apple. Even now, it's not a question of either or in the marketing strategy. It's a question of and. It's always and. Do you want this and this, or do you want this? Like when you're checking out, do you want to pick it up at a store? Do you want to have it delivered? Do you want to have it shipped? It's always like any of these things that work for you. We just want you to buy our product.
Yeah. And retailers, I'm sure many retailers do understand that. But I think there's a lot of specialty retailers that don't yet, right? Like that they are this amazing experience and they have so much to give there. And it does need to be this kind of together thing. Brands need to invest into the retailers with the right kind of excitement and the right kind of build up to their go to market. But man, I think, Mike, you like I do, there's just so much opportunity in the specialty space. And yes, from a brand perspective, it's one store, but collectively across all of them, if you can figure out how to work with them well and get the right product in each store and keep them sustained, they can be an insanely valuable partner for your wholesale channel as a whole. So that's really the big game here that we're trying to unlock and show people is specialty is this huge opportunity and remains strong and remains really the place you want to launch your product. They're really good at that. Yeah.
And I think it's really an opportunity for specialty to bring back some of the great tools and resources that we had back in the day, because if they don't have to focus on bringing inventory and running out of stock, if you guys can help them make sure they have all the right stuff. The beauty of specialty is when you walk into a specialty shop and engage with an associate, there is wisdom there that you will not get online. Right. And hearing a story from a guy that was at some fishing tournament with his Yeti cooler over the weekend and caught all these great fish, but his cooler kept his beer cold. Boom. Yep. That's huge. Yep. So specialty can focus on that. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Yep. And we can. So our partnership locally in Envoy helps do just that. And I would say we talked a little bit about resistance to data and things like that. It's not an all or nothing thing. This isn't you do exactly what, the data says, but you can, but it is another data point. Right, it's another informed part of your decision. And you're not losing the human element. You're augmenting it with more data to help you do a better job to connect to your local community and simply just keep more product on the shelves from your brands. That's not a nice to have. That's a gotta have.
Gotta have these days.
If you're gonna have success.
Yeah. Before we finish off here, so from your perspective, what's the number one thing brands can do to support retailers right now? We talked a little bit about all the things that they do, but is there just one specific?
I think right now, or at least here's some stuff that I'm seeing, given just the current conditions that we're in and whatnot. I think people or brands need to acknowledge that they did it. They made it. They're currently making it through this. It wasn't it wasn't a trade show package. It wasn't a new, virtual reality experience. It wasn't a bunch of these things that get thrown at you. It was you and your retailers really doubling down on your relationship and working together. And I think that's the picture of the future is a more data-centric approach with your retailer, or from a brand perspective, your retailer, from a retailer's perspective, your brand. That's what we're learning on all of this, that you don't need to look too far. You already have it. Yeah. It's already available and you can do it with the right partners. I see a lot of brands digitally overcompensating honestly, and going a little too far in some directions, given kind of challenges that are happening, and saying, okay, what's important to us is, we're going to throw all of our retailers into a virtual reality experience because we can't get together. And that's an example of overcompensation, and also not being on target with what needs to happen right now. What needs to happen right now is you need to continue to support your retailers, and your retailers, like you, remember that brand and your products. They actually like to hold your products. That's important to them, and making sure that you have enough product on the store shelves right now and that your availability, basically, like I've been saying. So I guess number one thing, don't look too far. Don't overcompensate. You probably need to just work with your retailers in a more data-centric way and focus on availability from both sides of the table. I guess those are my takeaways.
That's good.
Things I would leave you with.
That's good. Mike, you got anything?
Yeah, I would say a lot of the same stuff that John just said. I would say that the best thing that a brand really could do at this point is to take a more global and holistic view of like how they partner with local retail is a thing that still represents almost 90% of total retail sales. Mm-hmm. It's a critical part of every brand's solution, and like making sure that you're truly partnering with local retailers and using tools that like empower them rather than creating these various silos that like treat local retail as a competitor is, I think, a really smart tactic for every brand.
Love it. Yeah, love it.
Yep.
And we'll And so for all you listeners, this is just episode 1. We're going to have another conversation about some other stuff. We'll get into some more sort of details, maybe some specific examples, and maybe talk a little bit about the trade show model, which seems to be in flux right now. Where will find you guys if they want to follow up with you and the Envoy and Locally website? I'm assuming that's EnvoyB2B.com and Locally.com?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep, that's right.
Awesome. And if they want to follow up with you, are you guys online somewhere? Or just reach out to you through the brand website?
Yeah, website's fine. Or if you do it right, I might respond to you on LinkedIn. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, that's getting a little overwhelming.
Just through the website's
days.
Fine.
It's like a fire hose.
Exactly.
It's crazy. I can hardly turn that thing on anymore. But yeah, I would prefer people just go through the website. But in all reality, yeah, LinkedIn's not a bad place to try to connect with me either.
Mike, you same?
Same. Yep, same exact thing.
All right. As we wrap up, is there anything you want to say or ask of our listeners before we sign off?
Nope, all good on this end. It was really fun talking with you both. And man, we live in some really interesting times right now. And it's fascinating to hear from others' perspectives. And I really appreciate everything you guys shared. So it's been fun.
Thanks. It was great.
Yeah, same here. It's all the same stuff. Plus, get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Let's get back to normal.
Get vaccinated, get outside.
Totally.
Yep, that's awesome. Thanks, guys.
right.
It's been great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Outdoor Biz Podcast. Be sure to visit our website, theoutdoorbizpodcast.com, where you'll find show notes with links to everything we talked about and more. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts so you'll never miss an episode. And while you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or spread the word and tell a friend about the show. That would really help us out too. Be sure to tune in every week. And thanks again for listening to the Outdoor Biz Podcast with Rick Saez.